Becoming a successful professional speaker is a journey. How do you find that first stage, the next stage, and then the bigger and better stages? I'm Lee Hayes, your host. My co-hosts and I are here to guide you to a more successful speaking career. You're listening to Path to the Main Stage podcast. Welcome to today's podcast. I have a special treat. Whether you are starting out, you are an emerging speaker, or whether you've been doing this 10 years or 25 years, doesn't matter. You're going to learn something essential today that you absolutely need. You as a speaker are in a visual medium. People see you, they judge you by appearance, not necessarily how you look. Are you pretty? But are you showing up authentically? Are you who you say you are? How does your brand come across? And I have the man to help us with this today. And let me explain why he's here. We'll talk a little bit about his background in a minute when I say hello. But the reason I have John DeMato here is because I've been in this business now over a decade. I've seen a lot of headshots, a lot of imagery, and every now and then I'll see one that just jumps out at me, an image that I go, wow, this is an image I can get behind, because it doesn't just show a person's face, it shows their soul, or it shows their brand. You feel more. And so many times I've said to the speaker, this is fantastic. Who did this? This is a great image. And they go, oh, John DeMato. So fast forward to last week, I'm in New York at a National Speakers Association chapter meeting, and there he is. He himself, the man, the myth, the legend, John DeMato's at the event. So I said, I need to have him on the podcast because you need to know what he knows. So thank you. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Lee, for having me. Appreciate the invitation.
I appreciate you being here so much, because I just want you to just spill it for the listeners. My listeners specifically, or primarily, are emerging speakers, people who are trying to figure out how to get to the next level, how to even get to the first level. They need so many things. And then also people who go, I've done this for years, but I want to get better. So I appreciate it, because I think you can help all of the above. Could you tell me a little bit, how did you get into this? Just so we have some frame of reference. How did you get into being a photographer for professional speakers?
Well, once upon a time, I started as a television producer working on a national daytime talk show behind a video camera, and progressively, slowly but surely burned out, became resentful of the industry, and ultimately was trying to find a pathway out to do something creative with a camera. And at that time, I was taking photographs of headshots of real estate agents and actors and people like that on the side. And when I decided to jump out the window and quit, I figured I'll just be a headshot photographer. It'll work out. It's New York City, I don't know anything about running a business, but I shoot pretty pictures. I'm sure it'll be fine. Of course, that led to several years of barely working, not understanding anything, and having no idea how the hell to market myself to an audience of people that would pay me money to take their picture. So one thing led to another. Spent a lot of time on LinkedIn, spent a lot of time in networking events. And what I started to come across in these rooms is that there is this whole industry of people that get on stages and make money talking, which at the time I only thought that Tony Robbins and ex-presidents did that kind of thing, right? I had no idea that this whole community existed. And what I also realized is that I'm learning a lot of stuff about marketing and business and all of the stuff that I needed to fill the gaps in to figure out how to get myself out there. So what naturally happened is I kind of pushed my work towards those people, because I figured, let me kill two birds with one stone, because I'll be in the room when they're talking, I'll learn stuff, and I'll also be able to create value for them. So it's a win-win situation. And it's kind of developed from literally that.
But you've done this for quite a while now. When did you get started with it?
The I quit in 2014 in August, and then I refer to 2014 to 2017, January of 2017, as my creative crisis period where I shot everything under the sun.
Hmm.
Everything from dog portraits to quinceañeras to a couple of birthday parties and things of that, and dating profile photos. I was pretty good at that.
I can
Um,
see the relation there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I did some of that. But since January of 2017, I've been hanging my hat on experts who speak, coach, train, consult, and write books.
Beautiful. All right. Well, I was looking at your website and I actually ran across a quote which is very similar to what I preach in a parallel fashion. So often when I work with speakers, we work on their bios. And what I always say to them is your bio is not about you. Your bio is about what you bring for the people who are hiring you. And I noticed a quote on your site that said, it's about them, right? Your image is about them. It's not about you. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, that's a biggie. And the reason is simple. A lot of experts, or just human beings in general, the first thought that they think when they look at a photo is, do I look good? Am I flattering? Does it make me feel good about, putting this out into the world? And the truth is, there has to be that vanity component to all of the photos because if you're not comfortable and confident in sharing the image, you're not going to put yourself out there. But at the same time, that is the prerequisite. That is not the objective of
Mhm.
what a good photo is. And by framing it within the context of it's about them, not you, it means that your sole job with your online presence and your visual storytelling in general is to create an opportunity for those that you serve, the decision makers, whether it's conference organizers, event producers, or if it's your individual clients for your consulting and coaching work. You need to put yourself out there in a genuine way that showcases who you are and how you help others.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you are going to, number one, send the wrong signals to your audience, and that's going to bring in the wrong types of people on both sides of this conversation. On your end, you don't want to work with these types of people, and on their end, you're not a right fit for them. So you got to nip it in the bud. You got to suck it up. You got to get over yourself in terms of how you look, and you need to put yourself out there in a way that is not hiding behind 25-year-old photos, photos that are retouched up the yin yang, or the fact that you're using 7,000 stock photos. You got to put yourself out there today to look relevant and current. Otherwise, it's not going to work in terms of bringing in the right people. You're going to blend into the crowd and you're going to become invisible. And then, the people that could really benefit from your particular flavor of expertise is going to be missing from them and their solution that they really need.
And this, so the flavor you bring them, it sounds like a lot more than just a headshot. What,
It's,
as a speaker, should I have more of a portfolio? What should I have in that toolbox of images to share with event planners?
yeah, you need a lot more than that. The headshot's a starting point. It's definitely an important piece of the puzzle, and it goes on in the kit. It goes in the on the website, on the social profiles, yes. But when we're talking about putting yourself out there in a way that positions you as an authority in your space, we're looking at a comprehensive visual storytelling library, and it's full of core assets, which are your headshots and wider portraits and some vertical portraits, so that you can satisfy all of those particular needs where you're looking directly into the camera. Those are all the promotional ones.
Mhm.
Then you have a bucket of visual evidence photos. These are the photos that capture you in the act of doing the thing that you do in front of your audience, as well as showcasing in the background how the sausage is made. What is your process for preparing for your clients? You know, you working on a laptop, you're doing mind maps, your voice recording. Show what that process looks like. And then there are some hidden gems, the hidden details, which showcase your IP, whether it's an online course or a book or some awards you've won. You want some recognition and markers that indicate that you've done the work before, you've done it recently, and you've done it for people just like them. So you want to paint the broader picture of who you are, how you help others, what makes you tick, and then that way it helps to create not just some kind of transactional, I'm going to go on the stage and light it on fire. Absolutely. But before you get to that conversation, you still need to get their attention. And by painting that broader picture with all of those elements and having that library evolve over time as you do, not just how you look, but what your business model looks like, you need to showcase that. And in terms of all of the other aspects of your life, potentially the stuff that you do outside of work, that's what creates that relationship with the decision makers. And that's what you need to stay on top of.
So this sounds like a lot more than a one-time photo shoot. Like you said, it's over time. How do speakers get these images? I mean, obviously you hire someone like you get a start. You get those promotional pictures. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about this, about those brand images and other personal images. But how do you build this portfolio over time? What else should speakers be doing to gather images?
The first step is to take take a step back and assess where they're at. And, you know, it starts with the headshot. First of all, are you conveying in that headshot, you know, aspects of your personality and how you want to be perceived by your audience? Or is it just some glossy shot against a white wall and you're just staring? Is there any juice in that photo? Does it feel like the best way you want to represent yourself? So you start there. Then you look at the website, and then you start taking a peek at not just the homepage, but all the services pages. Because if you're a coach and you're a trainer and you're doing masterminds, whatever the case may be, do you have photos that aptly represent all of those aspects of how you serve your people? And then, you know, again, when it comes to the missing details, do you have photos of your book? Are you showcasing all of those things? And once you start seeing the gaps in what you're missing, that's where you start and you prioritize. Now, the priority is to get those core assets in place first, because those are the ones that are going to be in the media kit, speaker kit. Those are the ones that are going to be the at the most high touch point places online, your social profiles, as well as the about section on the website. You definitely need those first, and then you progressively work your way into capturing images of you actually doing the thing. Now, we're going to talk about a branding session, and but I'll just briefly get into it right now, because during a branding session, the primary purpose of it is, number one, to get those core assets, to get you in those client facing outfits, to showcase your essence, your personality through your facial expression and your body language. But also during that session is an opportunity for you to create visual evidence photos in a way that is not necessarily real life moments, but they're recreated. So if we want to get those process photos of you on that laptop, because you need those photos for the website, because you need those photos for some online content, when we show you brainstorming, it's all recreated, but it still has a fly on the wall, candid vibe to it that gives people that indication that you put that type of effort in. And then also during the branding session, you have an opportunity to capture some of these pieces of your IP, whether it's the onboarding. Uh, if you're a coach,
Mhm.
they have some kind of an onboarding program they use, or specific types of programs that are related to how they serve their people. We get that kind of stuff. And if there's any kind of personal items or awards, or again, books, photograph those things all during the branding session so that you satisfy that foundational piece of your visual storytelling library.
So I want to start with the first shot, the headshot, which, like you said, that's an essential one. That's a building block because, again, a lot of these speakers are just starting out.
Yeah.
And even if they're not, if they have that 10-year-old headshot, which same thing drives me batty, you look at it and then you see the person and go, wow, you aged. How, tell me how to get a good headshot. What does the speaker need to do? What do they need to bring to a session? And not just physically, but mentally. How do they prepare for that kind of shot? And then what are you doing to capture, like you said, more of the essence and less of the 1980s student high school shot?
Well, the first thing to keep in mind is what you're wearing. Wear something that you would wear in front of people who pay you money. That's number one. Number two, it's important to make sure you're looking into the camera. Now, that sounds so obvious, but you'd be so surprised at how many professional social pages I see where they're looking off into the distance, they're looking down. It's like you have to make eye contact with the camera because this is the front door to everything. And you want to digitally look your people in the eye so they can get a real gauge of you, because people are making decisions in milliseconds whether or not they like you or not. So don't give them the opportunity to flip by and find someone else.
Mhm.
No, the third thing that's really important about a headshot is it is a tightly cropped shot from the top of the head to the top of the chest. Nothing more, nothing less. Your goal is to fill that little avatar that's on all of those profiles and on your website so that it fills the frame with your face, because people can then distinguish your the sentiment that you're trying to convey in that image through your eyes, eyebrows, and mouth. You don't need to have the shot where you're head to toe, because then your face is a little tiny peanut and they cannot connect with you. The whole point of that shot is for people to connect with you, to just stop the scroll, right? But the real glue to the whole thing is this. And you asked me how I prepare people uh,
Mhm.
for these things. The biggest piece is that you have to have rapport with your photographer, and you have to strategize beforehand. Meaning, they need to understand who you are as a human being, and you need to know whether or not this person behind the camera is someone that you trust enough to be able to capture you in a genuine way, which means emailing a photographer that you got some kind of a referral from, and just back and forth through words and not through talking to the person is a problem, because you do not know if they are going to be able to motivate you in a way that makes you comfortable enough to drop your guard for the amount of time that they're going to be working with you, to present those genuine aspects of your personality. If you don't have that, you can shoot in the most gorgeous of places, but it won't matter because the photos are going to look like crap, and you're never going to want to use them because you're not going to recognize yourself in them, and it's just not going to work. So it's important that you qualify your photographer beforehand. And in terms of location, generally speaking, It's good to have a background that it'll be out of focus. The attention is all on you, but generally speaking, it's good to have a place that kind of aptly represents the types of places that you work. Whether it's in your house, you work from home for the most part. Okay, aside from
Mhm.
stages, um, you could work with that. Or if you're someone that does a lot of corporate work, a co-working space is a great place to do it, but don't just necessarily shoot it against a wall and have no life to it. You want to create as much vibrancy as possible that draws all of the attention to you in a compelling way. And these are just some things to keep in mind.
So interesting. One of the questions I was going to ask you is what is something you look for and what are some red flags? But I'm actually going to jump in from listening to what you just said and give one of my own red flag experiences, which is I'm not a speaker, but I occasionally get a headshot done just so I can send a picture of what I look like. And I semi recently talked, I was looking for a photographer. I had one way back when, she's retired. And I found this woman who was local, and she got on the phone with me and she said this: my fee is $2,800. You need to bring 2 outfits. I do 3 backgrounds. We do 60 minutes and you're done. And I went, I'm not feeling the love, because she never asked why you want the headshots, what they're for, who you are. Like, there was no question. It was, this is what it is. It was 2 outfits, 3 backgrounds. So for me, that's a red flag. Am I missing any red flags?
That's a big one. I mean, one of the biggest things when you're looking for first of all, when you're looking for a photographer, you're not looking for the one shot deal. What you're looking for is to build a long-term relationship, unless if you plan to retire in a year. And what's really important is working with someone that understands not just you as a person, but understands the industry in which you serve, so that they already have the insider knowledge to be able to fill in the gaps for you as to what you need versus what you just want coming into the door. Um, I think another red flag is, you know, when talking to a photographer and they say it'll be fine, you'll look great, and you know, I'll retouch 25 photos, and that's
Yeah.
what you get. That's a major red flag. First of all, don't get your photos heavily retouched, because you need to be the person you are in your photos as in real life. Because if you're not, similar to the 27-year-old photo that you took from high school reunion or whatever, and you're using that as your main shot, um, you're not representing yourself in the right way. And when people see you on stage and they saw that photo, you just lost the trust in the room, because whether it's fair or not, you know, they're going to judge you based on the fact that you kind of lied about that. And it's like, well,
Mm.
what else are they hiding, kind of thing. It's like you don't want to give them the opportunity to think that there might be something else, or put them down that road. You just want to be yourself. Um, so don't retouch your photos. Optimize them with lighting, sure. And yes, we want to get it flattering, and we don't want, wrinkles in the shirt and all that. But I'm talking about shaving 20 pounds off your face in 30
Hmm.
years, your eyes. We don't want that. You got to be who you are.
That is so interesting. 'Cause one thing they offered was, do you want to look thinner? And I went, interesting.
Here's the thing, for a lot of the folks that I work with, they're not happy with their weight. But what we do is we get a session that's not a full blown session, but we'll get a shorter session that's kind of like the breezeway between where they are and where they want to be. And what they do is they use those in between shots as motivation to get themselves to where they are. So when they're ready in 6, 9, 12 months, now we're ready to go full boat and really fill in that library for them. So it's a motivating factor for some.
This is true. Now, you had talked about you need sort of a lifetime portfolio of images. I don't know if I'm saying that quite right, but you need images over time. But you also mentioned on your website that you can take one session and turn it into months worth of posts or marketing. How does one do that?
Magic, of course. Well,
Of course.
yeah. The first thing is, once there is an understanding of where the gaps are, and you get these branding photos back, you already know where the short-term immediate needs are to update. So that's number one, and that'll last you for about a year at least, depending upon how quickly you are evolving as a business and as a human being. Then the rest of those, and by the way, when I'm delivering a session, you're not getting 25 photos, you're getting hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds. It does not mean you use hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds, but what it does do is give you the opportunity to leverage a lot of those images in a variety of different ways, meaning you're going to use some for the social profile, some for the website, some for the speaker kit. But what you're also going to do is look at where else are you using photos. You might have specific proposals or presentation slides. You could use it for promoting your online course. You can use it in different types of printed materials, all different types of marketing promotional materials that currently have stock photos. You can get rid of that, and then you put in photos that are created during the branding session. And if you are strategic enough with your photographer beforehand, having that call with them to go over the types of images that are going to be captured, shot by shot by shot, and scenario by scenario by scenario, you'll be able to strategically place these images in all of those different areas, whether it's high touch point or behind your paywall in some way, shape, or form. And that's what's going to create that opportunity to really stretch this library out and create a variety of images. And that doesn't even speak to the online content piece, which is really the workhorse of it. Because the one thing that you don't want to do is use the same 3 to 5 photos. You throw a quote on it, and it's the same shot over and over and over and over again. It gets really repetitive and boring. But if there's 27 angles of you working on a laptop or recreating a one-on-one conversation or photographing you in a boardroom with a whiteboard and your frameworks behind you, and it's being shot left, from the right, wide shot, medium shot, close up, now all of a sudden you can stretch out those images with relevant and valuable stories that relate to your expertise and use those images in a way that really goes on and on for months. And then eventually you grow out of those images for one reason or another, and it's time to refresh your visual evidence, recreated shots, your core assets, and your missing details for your brand through your branding shoot, and basically just keep it going. It's a flywheel.
What aspects go into branding shots? For example, I have spoken to some people who say, oh, my brand is pink or my brand is green or whatever. Is color everything? Is it part of it? Like, what components create brand?
Brand, your brand is helping people create that perception of who you are when you are not in that room and what people say about you. That's your personal brand. In terms of colors, unless if you wear a uniform. Now, I actually do wear a uniform. I'm wearing a black t-shirt because I have 40 of them, and that's what I wear every single day because I'm far too lazy to go and buy real clothes. So I just wear black t-shirts. I guess that's the stereotypical photographer thing. Either way, point being is there are some people who will wear a uniform on stage and they wear that prototypical outfit and it's a certain color and that
Right,
works.
right. And for example, where is he? Behind my shoulder here is Jesse Cole, Savannah Bananas, always wears a yellow tuxedo. So
Yeah.
in his case, he wears a yellow tuxedo. But if I don't have a particular uniform, how important is it I always show up in the same color, or has that become part of your uniform?
I think ultimately it's a person by person conversation. Meaning, there are
Okay.
some people who really like to wear pink or blue or purple or fill in the blank color. Then
Hmm.
yes, we will get certain images that have that color in the photos, and we will earmark them for very specific types of shots. Meaning, if it's someone who always loves to wear green, we will make sure that what they're wearing in their headshot portion of the branding
Mm.
session is green. But
Right.
we're not going to just keep it to green. We're going to use other stuff because they wear other stuff in front of people who pay them money, as well as wearing other stuff that they wear when they're working by themselves. And we want to
Right.
showcase all of that because the whole point of a branding session is to give people that true fly on the wall, bird's eye experience of what it's like to be in your world so they can visualize what it's like for them to be in your world. And outfits are all a part of it.
What about when you're at an event? What about live events? What should people be doing or getting images of?
Well, one of the big things that I see a lot of experts miss, especially speakers, and also folks who run masterminds and coaching sessions and live events where there's people, is they'll get the stuff during the thing, right? They'll get the stuff of them on the stage. They'll get the big wide shot where they look like a tiny little peanut, or if it's a big boardroom, they're at the end of the table running the meeting, and those are important because they are credibility builders, very important. But at the same time, what's also important is to be mindful of the fact that there are moments that happen before and after the thing. So, for example, during a keynote, while it is important to get that wide shot, it's also and getting the subsequent close-ups and different shots from different angles during the thing. What's also important is to get the photos of you beforehand, rehearsing, tech check, talking to the AV team, going over your slides, having a moment to yourself, and then the stuff happening afterwards, whether it's a book signing or you're meeting with participants and answering questions and taking pictures, or whatever the case is. You need that stuff before and after because that helps paint the full picture of you being at an event, the experience. And while they're important for you sharing on your website and through your online content, the reason is because decision makers are not just looking at your speaker reel and your one sheet. They want to know whether or not you're the type of person that's going to be a team player and that you care enough to really put forth a solid effort to be in front of their people. So when you get those photos before and you get those after and the during stuff, it really fills out a really good idea of what they can expect from you.
So, aside from professional images, is it worth speakers, should they be taking images with their phone? Should they get candids in that regard, meaning they don't always have a professional with them? Is there any value to that? And if so, what is that value?
I'm so glad you brought that up, Lee. It's 100%, 100% essential because
Okay.
here's the deal. Unless if you are a celebrity or Gary Vee or one of these other, big time dudes that have someone following them around 24/7 with a camera, there are gaps in your day, in moments that matter, whether it's by yourself, with your family, or with clients, or whatever the case may be. And it is important for you to be able to share those moments in photos, meaning if a photo wasn't taken, did the event or the moment actually happen? And of course it did, but if you're not sharing it with your audience, you're not allowing them the full scope view of what your journey looks like to invite them in. So when you are at events, the selfies with the clients, with the participants, the uh, the photos of you working on a book maybe, and the behind the scenes, or you're working somewhere off site, you're on the road, show the laptop, show the notebook, show all of these things, or you're with your family, you had a moment of clarity, something came to you, you want to share the story, take a photo of the location that you're in so that you can share that. Um, and then when it comes to things that inspire you, the part of the missing details, take some photos of that. Long story short, your smartphone photos are a huge component to supplement your visual evidence as well as the missing details of what's going on in your life. So absolutely, you need to include those into the mix.
Now, of course, when you take images, you do the lighting for them, you do the positioning, you help them out. For me, right, if I am a brand new speaker and I just need to get that first image, I can't afford a photographer yet. Are there any steps I can take to get one halfway decent picture that I can put out there? Because I've seen a lot of people who just, like, obviously Auntie M took the photo for them and they're horrendous. What are some tips that they could just get that first shot just to get
Yeah.
something started?
Yeah, there is. The first thing that you could, if you're going to just use your phone, okay. Step one is you got to get the camera out of your hand when you're taking the picture, and you have to set it on self timer mode. Now, that could be perching it on a ledge. That could be maybe you have a light stand with one of those phone mounts. You know, a lot of people still do that when they do their stand ups in their video. Well, you're going to use it for your photos. That's step one. Get it out of your hands and put it on something stable so that you could self time it. Step two, refer back to what I said about what the framing of a headshot is, top of the head to the top of the
Mhm.
chest. So move yourself forward. The good news is it autofocuses, so you don't have to worry about that. Step three, find the light in the room, meaning where are the windows and where is if there what's going on in the background. So find the light. It's a dance of you don't want to be in front of a window, behind the window kind of thing. You know, if you are, you know, the lighting's going to look weird. So you want to find an uncluttered but out an area background that you can do out of focus. So find the light and make sure that what's behind you has some stuff, but it's not growing out of your head. Then the next step is to put the camera in portrait mode, set the timer, and then take 25 photos and see how it looks.
Those are great tips. I love it. All right, John, I'm going to wrap it up here with a question for you. If you were to go back in time now, it is current John speaking to 2017 John, who was just starting in this industry, taking pictures for speakers. What advice would you give him?
Are you sure about this?
I am sure. I am
No,
sure.
no, that's what I
Just,
would say to myself. Uh,
oh,
no,
okay
no,
then. That is awesome. You got me. All right. Are you crazy? All right. You're not crazy. You did do this and you are phenomenal. So what other advice would you give him?
I would say this is probably one of the best decisions that you made, and the way to make this work is by trusting the process, listening to the needs of your people, leaning into it, and build a business that is focused solely on making it about them and not me. Meaning, yeah, I want to shoot pretty pictures. Yeah, I want these photos to light up the room, and that's important. But what really matters most is that these photos have value, and that you have to remember that These people help others get past what's holding them back. So it's your job to make sure that you position them in the most genuine and magical way so that they attract those that need their help the most.
Fantastic. So, one quick plug for you, for anyone out there, if you can get other photos taken elsewhere locally, wonderful. If you really want high end, top shelf brand images, headshots, you got to contact John DeMato. Where can they reach you, John?
They can go to my website, which is a really complicated URL, johndemato.com. The other option is to find me on LinkedIn, same name, or you can find me on Instagram and Facebook.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate you coming today.
Pleasure was all on this side of the lens, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Path to the Main Stage. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And for full video episodes, check out YouTube. If you want to be a successful speaker, you need to make it happen. My co-hosts and I are here to help guide you. But if you need more help, please check out pathtothemainstage.com where we can connect. And until next time, keep sharing your voice, keep showing up, and keep taking your path to the main stage.